afternoon, sir.
Can you hear me? Anusha, are you available?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see the PDF?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So today's topic is deflection of beams. Okay, determinate beams. The beams for which reactions can be determined. So there are now three types of the beams: simply supported beam, cantilever beam, overhanging beam. Okay. So for all these three types of the beams, how to determine the deflection at any point, as well as slope. Now, to determine the deflection at any point, you should know what is the bending moment, okay, acting at the point, bending moment or the maximum bending moment. Because in the equation for deflection, there is once the beam is deflected, it undergoes deflection, and then if you draw the deflected positions of the beam, then that line joining the different deflected points, that is the axis of the beam when it is deflected, if you join all these points, you get a curve. That is what is called elastic curve. So the equation for elastic curve, which is given by EI d squared y by dx squared. So this EI is the flexural rigidity. So in the previous class, I was discussing about torsional rigidity. So this is the flexural rigidity. So you can see that there are two criteria: strength criteria and stiffness criteria. Just like in the torsion equation, the cross section of a beam has to be designed in such a way that it is strong enough to limit the bending moment and shear force that are developed in the beam. This criterion is known as strength criterion. So the section needs to be strong enough to withstand the bending moment and shear force. And another criterion for beam design is that the maximum deflection of the beam must not exceed a given permissible limit. And the beam must be stiff enough to resist the deflection caused due to the loading. So this is called stiffness criteria. Okay, in the analysis of structures and all, you might have studied the stiffness factor. Okay, so or load per unit deflection. So in all these cases, deflection is very important. So while designing, you should see that the beam, when subjected to load or the bending moment, okay, what should be the deflection that is permissible? Okay, so that means it decides the bending moment as well as the load to be applied, because EA d squared by dx square is equal to bending moment at this section, and this bending moment is mainly due to the loading. So like that, you can check for the limit of deflection. So you can limit the deflection, or what should be the maximum deflection that can be a load for a particular beam. So depending on the different types of end conditions, like a simply supported beam, cantilever, and overhanging beam, okay, what is the deflection at different points, as well as what is the maximum deflection. Now, under the action of external loads, any beam bends and suffers deflection at various points along the length. The deflection is caused by the bending moment acting at various sections of the beam. This I told you. Deflection is also caused due to shear, but magnitude of this is very small compared to the bending. Hence, due to shear force, it is neglected. So only the effect of bending moment is considered. Deflection due to bending moment. So deflection, in the sense, it is the vertical distance in transverse direction between the positions of the axis before and after loading at the section of the beam. So that is the how the axis of the member of the beam has moved down, okay, or upward. Vertical displacement, vertical distance in the transverse direction. That is, suppose this is the beam subjected to the loads. The axis of the beam, this how this deflects. Okay, the vertical deflection. This is cantilever, like, okay. And the different conditions of the, like the simple supported or continuous beam or overhanging beams. Okay, how the beam deflects. So elastic curve or the deflection curve. The neutral axis in its deflected position after loading of the beam is known as elastic curve, or the line joining the deflected points of deflected positions at different points that represents the elastic curve. The slope is tangent drawn to the point from the deflected position to the, okay, at that point, tangent drawn at the point on the deflected position, okay, which meets the axis. That is the angle or the slope of the beam at any section is defined as the angle in radians of inclination of the tangent drawn at that section to the axis in its deflected position after loading. Okay, with respect to the undeformed axis. I'll show that in this sketch. The product of modulus of elasticity, that is Young's modulus, and I, moment of inertia, is known as EI, flexural rigidity, EI. So, in the equation, what we get is EI d squared y by, say, EI d squared y by dx squared is equal to m. So, EI is the flexural rigidity, and this is the differential equation of elastic curve. So I am just skipping the derivation of that. Assumptions using the bending equation. So this is remember, that is the derivation part of this. So you get okay. Well, some sign conventions are noted taken. So from movement from position from left to right. Okay, when measured from left to right, that is considered as positive. And vertical distances deflection y is positive when measured above the axis and is negative when measured below the axis of the beam. So downward deflection becomes negative. That is why in the determination of deflection we get negative sign. So that indicates that deflection is downward. So this is what I was talking to you. If you draw the tangent at the point on the deflected curve, this is deflected curve in a simply supported beam, and the angle made by the tangent with respect to the axis of the undeflected beam. So, or the axis of the beam, which is undeflected. After deflection, if you draw the tangent at the point, it makes an angle with respect to the axis. So that is called slope. So for simply supported beams, the slope is maximum at the supports. And simply similarly for the overhanging beams, you can see the deflection is 0 at the support. Deflection is 0 at the support, and the slope is here. Slope is maximum at the free end. So deflection supports A and B are 0. A and B are 0, and maximum at the middle center where slope is 0, corresponding to the 0 slope. If you draw a tangent here, it makes 0 angle, and the deflection, vertical movement, or the measurement from the axis to this point where slope is 0, that is the maximum deflection. At a point of maximum deflection, slope is 0. So in overhanging beam also, the deflection is 0 at the supports and maximum where slope is 0. Generally, slope is 0 in between A and B here. Okay, somewhere here. If it is symmetrical, then it is at the center. So deflection at supports A and B are 0, but more at the free end and also at the center of the span. So the deflection may be, is maximum at the center of the supports as well as at the free end. At the free end, this point at C and D. So cantilever beam, you can see cantilever beam also. Here, if you draw a tangent at this point at the free end, it makes an angle theta, that is maximum, and y is also maximum. For cantilever beam, slope and deflection are maximum at the free end. Okay, that is a condition. Slope and deflection are maximum at the free end. Okay, so just to make use of the sign convention, you can just reverse the problem, that is fixed end, that means you just turn it 180 degree like this. So fixed end comes to this right hand and B is at the left hand. Okay, even otherwise you can start like that by taking B as the origin, not A as the origin. Okay, B as the origin you have to take and write down the equation for the deflection. So in the problems, so fixed support is taken at the right hand and free end at the left hand, because as you move towards right, the distance measurement is positive. Slope and deflections are maximum at the free end. That is the condition to solve for the unknowns. Constants are important here. You get to C1 and C2 in double integration methods to solve for the deflection. So what you get is a d squared y by dx square, which is a d squared y by dx square. So second, after second differentiation, that means integrate the equation twice. So first integration you get a C1 constant, and the second integration of the equation gives you C2. So these C1 and C2 to be determined based on the boundary condition. So you have seen now for cantilever beam and simply supported beam, what are the end conditions. So in case of cantilever beam, slope and deflections are maximum at the free end and 0 at the fixed end. Whereas in case of simply supported beam, slope is maximum at the support, deflections are 0 at the supports. So these are the conditions to determine C1 and C2. And the different methods are there. You know about all these methods. Generally, we follow Michaelis method. There's a special type of double integration method. Okay, what is that special type? Okay, let us see. In a double integration method, when the beam is subjected to number of loads, okay, so you need to have several equations to solve for C1 and C2. For example, the equation E d squared y by dx squared is equal to m. After integration, you get C1 constant of integration, double integration of this equation, you get C1x and C2. Okay, so these are to be determined based on the boundary conditions of the beam. So that is double integration method. Okay, so for simple cases, like maybe subjected to one load, one point load or UDL. Okay, in that case, you can apply this method. So bending moment at any section, here you have to start from the free end. So that is what I told you. The fixed end is taken at right end, and free end is here. So x is measured positive. So from here to here, you have to take this section x and take the bending moment at this. So EA d squared y by dx square is equal to bending moment at x, which is equal to P into y. But you must know that while taking the bending moment, all loads acting downward cause negative bending moment, hogging bending moment. All loads acting upward cause positive bending moment or sagging bending moment. So load acting downward causing negative bending moment. It is not clockwise or anti-clockwise. Remember this. While taking bending moment, it is not clockwise or anti-clockwise. It is only the hogging and sagging bending moment. The hogging bending moment is negative and sagging bending moment is positive. Hogging bending moment is due to the loads acting downward, okay, causing negative bending moment, and sagging bending moment, it is the bending moment due to loads acting upward. So that way you can write here that is minus px, and so this is the equation. You integrate this, you get c1. When you integrate again, you get c2, c1x plus c2, and x squared by 2 is after integration x cubed by 6. So what is the boundary conditions? Now you know that you have started with the x free end. At free end, the two values are maximum, slope and deflection. To get the constants, what you have to do? Put x equal to L. Okay. So at the fixed end, when x equal to L, when x equal to L at the that is at x equal to 0 means free end. At x equal to L, slope is 0. So substitute this value of slope here, get the value of C1. So you get C1. Substitute the value of C1 in that previous equation, and to determine C2 now from the previous equation, C2 here, you have substitute C1, you get EAY here, C1x C2. Now once again, when x equal to L, deflection is also 0. So y equal to 0, so 0 equal to, so 0 at so that is 0 equal to PLQ by 6, x equal to L, therefore you get C2. And remember, whether it is cantilever or simple supported beam, you get C2 negative here, okay? C2 negative. In case of simply supported beam, the value of C2 is 0. In case of simply supported beam, C2 is 0, C1 becomes negative. We'll see that. So this is the equation for slope and deflection. You can write, and wherever you want, you can get. And the maximum slope is at the free end. So substitute for x equal to 0, you get PL squared by 2 EI is the slope, EA is the friction rigidity. You can always substitute later. Okay, and that is the slope. The problem is put out there. Okay, so you need to remember this equation. PL squared by 2 EI is the slope. And maximum slope maximum when x equal to 0 at the free end. So minus n indicates that it is downward deflection, minus PLQ by 3EI. So remember this equation. For cantilever carrying load at the free end, point load at the free end, the maximum deflection is minus PLQ by 3EI. Sometimes P instead of P, W is used, capital W. So minus PLQ by 3EI is the deflection, and PL squared by 2EI is the slope. So if you know these equations, so it is just a matter of substitution and getting the value. So for 1 mark problem, it is necessary to remember these maximum deflection and slope at the free end. For UDL, in a similar fashion, you find out what is the maximum bending moment at x6, omega x into x by 2. So minus omega x squared by 2 at the section x's, it is EI d squared by dx square, and similar to the previous one, get C1 and C2. So you will get the equation at x equal to L, y equal to 0, at x equal to L, dy by dx is 0. Once again, C2 is minus WL to the power 4 by 8, and C1 is WL to the power 4 by WL2 by 6 C1. So C1 and C2 substituted, and the maximum deflection what you get will be WLQ by 6 WL to the power 4 by 8EA minus WL to the power 4 by 8EA omega here. W in this case now small w, which is omega, what we call it UDL, unit load, okay, UDL, uniformly distributed load of certain unit per meter, generally kilonewton per meter. So that is minus omega L to the power 4 by 8EA, and the slope, maximum slope is omega L cubed by 6EA. Once again, you have to remember this. So what you have to do, you make a tabular column, okay, for cantilever beam, simple supported beam, subjected to point load and UDL. Now for cantilever, it is at the free end only, whereas for simple supported beam, UDL throughout and the load at the center when the beam is simple supported beam subjected to load at the midspan. So now you can see here the simple supported beam carrying the point load at the midpoint. So you know the maximum bending moment, it is WL to the power WL to the power 4 by 4 is the maximum bending moment at the center. And now what you want is determine the reactions here. First, for a simple supported beam, you have to find these reactions. Anyway, it is a simple problem. It is P by 2. Then take the section from end A or B. Okay, and determine C1 and C2. So put EA d squared y by dx square is equal to mx. Mx is now P by 2 into x, positive, because load acting upward is causing positive movement. So what you get is P by 2 into x. Equate this to EA d squared y by dx square and integrate this. Okay, C1 you get, and due to symmetry, slope is 0 at x equal to L by 2. Put x equal to L by 2, the slope is 0. If you draw the deflected curve like this, it is a parabola, and slope is 0 at the midspan. So that means at x equal to L by 2, slope is 0. Therefore, what you get is EA divided by dx, that is 0, equal to minus P by 2, L by, x is L by 2. Okay, L squared by 2 here, 4, x is L by 2, and the C1, get C1 at which is minus PL squared by 16. Substitute that, you get EA divided by dx equals slope equation. Now integrate this, you get the deflection equation, and to find C2 here at x equal to 0, y equal to 0. If you, whether you start from A or whether you start from B. So C2 becomes 0. At x equal to 0, y equal to 0. Therefore, C2 is 0. So at x equal to 0, y equal to 0, 0, 0. So C2 becomes 0. In any simple supported beam, that is the condition. So deflection at midspan at x equal to L by 2. So C2, the term is not there. You can see PL2 here, EY. So L2 by, that is x2 by 6 minus PL squared by 16 x plus C2 plus C2, that is 0. Okay. So deflection at midspan at x equal to L by 2, put x equal to L by 2. So what you get, the important equation, deflection at the center of a simple supported beam carrying point load at the center is WL cube by 48 EI. Isn't it? WL cube by 48 EI. W here is the point load at the center. So WL cube by 48 here, or P, since P is applied here, it is in terms of P. To find the slope, substitute dy by dx equal to 0 at A or at the starting point. Slope at support is 0 at x equal to 0. Therefore, the equation for slope, the only first term you get slope equation. So this is the slope equation. At x equal to 0, what do you get? EA divided by dx equal to slope EA divided by dx at A equal to x is 0, and that means minus PL squared by 16. So the P means W. Okay. So W L squared by 16 EI, or this should be P. PL squared by 16 EI. Okay, UDL omega unit per run. So maximum bending moment, you know that omega L squared by 8 is the maximum bending moment at the center. Now, very similar to the previous one, take a section and find out what is the bending moment at the section, which is here omega into L by 2 is the reaction. Small omega, should be small omega. Okay, omega L by 2 is the reaction. That into x by 2 is the moment. Okay, omega L by 2 into x by omega L by 2 into x is the bending moment due to upward load acting upward positive, and for UDL omega into x by 2, which is minus omega x squared by 2. That is the equation. Then we integrate once, we get with the C1, and to find the C1, at x equal to L by 2, that is at the midspan, slope is 0. So slope is 0 at midspan at x equal to L by 2. C1 you get minus W to the 4, L cube by 24. C1 is negative always in case of simply separated beam, and the value of C2 is 0. Okay, so because at x equal to 0, y equal to 0. See all the terms containing x here except C2. Therefore, okay, for the simply supported beam, without any hesitation, just write C2 equal to 0, whereas C1 is negative. Okay, so now substituting the values of C1 and C2, you get finally the deflection equation. This is the deflection equation. Okay. In order to get the maximum deflection, put x equal to L by 2. So what is the maximum deflection carrying the UDL? Do you remember? Maximum deflection carrying UDL for a simply supported beam throughout. UDL omega per meter for the entire length of the beam for a simply supported beam. What is the maximum bending moment? Maximum deflection. 5 times omega L to the power 4 divided by 584. Yeah, 384. Sorry. 5 omega L to the power 4 divided by 384 EI. So that is the maximum deflection. Minus n indicates downward deflection. And the slope at the end is nothing but the value of C1. Okay, at the support, it's automatically the value of C1. WL cubed by 24. WL cubed by 24 EI. Slope at the end by putting x equal to 0. dy by dx at x equal to 0 here. This is nothing but the value of C1. C1 divided by EI. C1 divided by EI. So that is the double integration method, and it is applicable only when the beam is subjected to simple type of loadings, just like what you are seeing here in theory. Maybe UDL throughout, or just one point load at the center or at the end. So for such cases, we can apply double integration method. When the beam is subjected to numerous loading conditions or different types of loads, combinations of loads, or number of point loads are acting, or discontinuous loads, like UDL is acting only for a portion of the beam, not for entire length of the beam. So in such cases, the Michaelis method is useful. It is a special method in which the way of integration is carried out. Okay. So for a general case of loading, there is a general case of loading means whatever may be the type of the loading. Though the expression for bending moment varies from region to region, the constants of integration remain the same for all regions. Macaulay recognized this fact and proposed a method which is known as Macaulay's method to obtain the slope and deflection equation. It is essentially modified method of double integration, and a special method of double integration. What is that? Especially when the bending moment is taken at a particular section, you have to take the section at the farthest point, okay, farthest section from the origin. If you suppose you are starting from the left extreme point, and you have to take a section in the last region of the beam at a distance x farthest from the origin, and write down the bending moment equation for that, considering all the forces to the left of the section. So if you are starting from the right end, suppose this is the right end, this is the this is the left end, and this is the right end here. So you take a farthest section here, okay, at a distance x from the left end, and consider all the forces acting on the left hand side of the section. Take the moment of that, and integration of x minus a to the power n is written as x minus a to the power n minus n plus 1 divided by n plus 1 as a whole, not by part. Integration of this within the parentheses should be integrated as a whole. Okay, and after substituting the value, okay, while finding the slope and deflection, after substituting the value of say a or whatever it may be, if it becomes negative, you should not consider, or 0. Okay, if you consider if it becomes negative, don't take it. So it should be neglected. So while finding slope and deflection in the form x minus a to the power n, if x minus a becomes negative, on substituting the value of x, neglect the term containing the factor x minus a to the power n. Okay, we'll see in the problems. And suppose UDL is acting for a part of the beam, you have to continue or extend that up to the section. Okay, up to right, extend it up to the extreme right end, and superimpose the same amount of UDL in the opposite direction. Okay, so we'll see that in the next problems. So should write here. Okay, here. Suppose this is the UDL up to this, since it is up to the end of the section, not necessary to continue the UDL. It is okay. Suppose the UDL is somewhere here, say CD only, not here. Then what you have to do? You have to continue this up to the NB, and you have to subtract the same amount of loading. That is UDL acting upward here. So, and take the farthest section here. Okay, so that's the method. I will explain that when I take up the problem there. Now in the double integration method, even when the point load or UDL is acting, you can apply no problem. Okay. But the way in which the bending moment equation is written is special. So for in the simply supported beam, okay, you have to find the reactions, whereas in the cantilever beam, not necessary to find the reaction. You can start from the free end directly. Suppose it is the simply supported beam. Get the reaction first, RA and RB. Okay, taking moment about A and B separately. You can get RA and RB. RA and RB should be together, RA plus RB should be equal to 70. So 34 plus 36 is 70. Now take A as the origin and take the section farthest from A, write down the bending moment equation. How to write the bending moment equation? Load acting upward RA into X positive, 30 into X minus 1, 30 into the distance. What is the distance? X minus 1. And 40 into X minus x minus the remaining 3.75 till this x minus 3.75. So this is what is the bending moment equation. Now the method is similar to the previous one, where you have to integrate this first. Okay, here d squared y by dx is equal to so much. Integrate once. Here dy by dx, that this 34. So c1 is written in the beginning. Constant should be written in the beginning. That is because you may forget later. Because after substituting, for example, x equal to 1 or 0, you get negative term. This should not be considered. Suppose x equal to 1, this becomes negative 0, because this becomes negative. You should not consider these two terms. If you have written c1 and c2 at the end, there is a possibility that you will miss the values of c1 and c2. To avoid that, c1 and c2 are written in the beginning of the integration term. After integration, you have to write c1 and c2 in the beginning itself. So EA divided by dx, c1 is written in the beginning, 34 x squared by 2 minus 30 x minus 1 whole squared by 2. Okay, x minus 1 to be integrated as x minus 1 whole squared by 2, and x minus 3.75 is to be integrated as x minus 3.74 whole squared by 2. Instead of writing c1 at the end, it is written in the beginning, just to consider that the first portion only. To consider without neglecting the portions. So let us see the problem. Integrating once again, you get c1x plus c2, c1x plus c2 plus 34x cubed by 6 minus 30 into x minus 1 whole cube by 2 into 3, that is 6 minus 40 into x minus 3.75 whole cube by 6. So this way the equations are written, and then now apply the boundary conditions. What is the boundary condition? At x equal to 0, y equal to 0, right? It is a simply supported beam. It is simply supported beam when x equal to 0, deflection is 0 here at A, and when x equal to L, that is 5 meter, deflection is 0. So using that condition, now to get C2 at x equal to 0, y equal to 0, so you get C2 equal to 0. Substitute here, you will get A by once again in terms of C1 x. So slope equation now. Slope A, so C1. Okay, this is slope equation. Okay. To get the slope, C2 is 0 now. To get C1, what is not here? This step is missing there. At x, what you have to do at x equal to, so that is missing here. Now what you have to do in the, to find C1, put once again at x equal to L, deflection is 0. You are seeing the problem here. At x equal to L, deflection is 0. This is to find C1 and C2, what you have to do at x equal to 0, y equal to 0, therefore C2 equal to 0. And to find C1, put to x equal to L, y equal to 0. So once again, you have to use the same equation here to get C1. So this will be in terms of L, that is 5, C1 into 5. So from that you get C1, which is minus 75.1. This is the value of C1. And EAY is C1x here, C2 is 0. Now total deflection at section of point loads. Now what is asked there? Find out what is the deflection at the point loads. That means at x equal to 1 and at x equal to 3.75. Substitute the values at x equal to 1 meter, deflection at the point C, that's y equal to yc, and the value of EI to be substituted properly. Now all these are in meters and load is in kilonewton. Therefore, you have to convert this to kilonewton meter cube. Okay. So this is 210 cube kilonewton per meter cube meter square, and centimeter to the power 4 converted to meter to the power 4, 10 raised to minus 4. Okay. So EI value to be substituted properly. That is finally what you get, 10 raised to minus 8 for that, and this is 200 into 10 raised to 6 Newton. Newton, what is taken here is Newton. EI. This should be 200 into 10 cube. Okay, because all these are in kilonewton. So 200 into 10 cube into I. I is to the power meters to the power 4. It should be so 10 raised to minus 4, and here 7332.9. 73.9 10 raised to minus 8 is taken minus 4. This should be minus 4, and this should be 3. So that we will get in meter converted to millimeter. And to get the slope, put the value of x equal to 0, you get the slope at the support in radians. To get the maximum deflection, what you have to do, suppose in the problem, this problem, to get the maximum deflection, it will be between C and D. Okay, or where slope is 0. If you draw a curve like this here, the slope is 0 in between C and D. Because of the pattern of the load here, maybe in between this, so maybe around 2 to 3 meters. So that is what is assumed here. Otherwise, find out that position by putting x equal to, by putting dy by dx equal to 0 and get the value of x. This is the better way of finding the position of maximum deflection. Or else you have to assume that properly, like this here, between C and D, the point of maximum deflection dy by dx is 0. So at x equal to x1, dy by dx is 0, and this is what is done here. Okay, x1 is 2.56 meter. Substitute this value of 2.56 in the deflection equation to get the maximum deflection. Slope is 0 at 2.56 meter. That is between C and D. Is clear from the figure. Maximum deflection occurs between C and D, where slope is 0. So you got the value. I said it must be around 2 and 3. So it has come 2.56 by putting the slope to be 0 in this equation. So while getting this value of x, what precaution you have to take is you have to neglect the terms containing the negative value. That is why it is considered only between C and D, only that equation is used. Okay, leaving the other terms. EI dy by dx, that is 0, equal to the first part, and the second part of the equation is used. The third part is not considered. So 2.56, you substitute this value in the deflection equation, get the maximum deflection. So just it is checked here. Okay, deflection of maximum in the region. The x varies from 1 to 3.75. So what he says is x 3.75 is not taken. This explanation is given. Now this is another problem with the point load. Okay, here with the reactions and so on. Okay, that's what I wanted to tell you. And if that is UDL, you have to take the section here for this from A, write down the bending moment equation. Suppose it is this is what is called discontinuous loading, but it contains up to the end of the section with A as origin from the left extreme point. You have to take a section for this containing all the loading. So reactions are determined first. So EA d squared y by dx squared is equal to this 33.33 acting upward causing positive moment into x minus 40 into x minus 2, and this 20 into x minus 20 into x minus 4. So 20 into x minus 4 is the portion up to the section. X minus 4 whole squared by 2. 20 into x minus 4 into x minus 4 by 2. That is the bending moment equation. So, and proceed like the previous problems. Now this is the problem. Suppose it is partial load. What you have to do, you have to continue this till B. See, this is what continued, and for the continued portion you have to subtract. Same one. Now you take the bending moment equation at this section. Okay, at distance x. So RA into x positive minus 2 into x minus 1 is this part into x minus 1 by 2. 2 into x minus 1 whole squared by 2, and there's negative, and load acting upward causing positive bending moment. So 2 into same 2 into x minus 4 is this part. This distance is x minus 4. 2 into x minus 4 into x minus 4 by 2. So 2 into x minus 4 whole squared by 2. And proceed. So maybe in the GATE question paper, so you may be given a particular problem like that, and may be asked to write the question. Okay. Generally, the problem should be simple, like subjected to only UDL throughout, or point load at the free end or at the center, and so on. Or you may be asked to find what is the maximum deflection or slope. So equations are important, or you may be asked to write down the mechanism method. Maybe for just 2-point load, or like this discontinuous load. So you should be fast enough to work out. You may not be asked such difficult problems, because these are all the problems that we used to cover in the classes. So you can just refer. Similarly, coming to the cantilever problems, so the beam is written like this. Just to write the equation, or you can take fixed end at the left hand and free end at the right hand, and start taking a section from the free end. So for cantilever, always you start from the free end. Now this is the free end, and write down the equation by taking this part. So there is no reaction here, only reaction is here. So reaction in the moment you can avoid by taking A as the origin. So the equation is just simply omega into x minus L by 2 whole squared by 2. Omega into this is x, this is x minus L by 2 into x minus L by 2 by 2. Okay, omega into this, the up to this section, that is x minus L by 2 into x minus L by 2 divided by 2. Okay, that is the bending moment at this section. There is no reaction. So like that, some problems are given, not necessary. Okay, this is the deflection problems. Okay, Michaelis method is applicable when the beam is subjected to several loads, point loads, continuous, and for UDL acting for only a portion of the beam, that is partial loading. So, and it is a special method, the way in which the integration is carried out, and can be applied for any type of loading, any general type of loading. Okay. So if there is a discontinuous load, you have to continue it till the section, till the end, and subtract that and take a section farthest from A. So even if you just take the load up to the section and subtract up to the section, that is also fine. And take the section there. That way also you can do. So in all these cases, first of all, you have to write down the bending moment equation. That is EI d squared by dx squared. And loads acting upward cause positive bending moment, that is sagging bending moment. Loads acting downward cause negative bending moment. Okay, so this is about the deflection. And remember the conditions, end conditions. For cantilever, at the free end, both slope and deflections are maximum. At the fixed end, slope and deflections are zero. So that is the condition to be used for solving C1 and C2. Remember in that cantilever, you get the slope and the deflection within free end by putting x equal to 0. Whereas in case of simply supported beam, slope is maximum at the supports. Okay, slope is maximum at the supports, and deflection is 0. To get the constants, put at x equal to 0, y equal to 0, so get C2 equal to 0 always for any simply supported beam. And C2 becomes negative. C2 becomes, C1 becomes negative. To get C1, what we have to do? Put x equal to L, y equal to 0. So for standard loading conditions, so note down the equations. So other loading pattern like the moment or the couple acting, okay, that also please go through. Suppose the beam is subjected to couple, sometimes may be necessary. Okay, that's all. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. You can unmute yourself.
No, sir.
Anusha. Anusha.
Sir?
Any doubts? So if you have, you can ask.
No, sir.
And do you want me to take again 1 or 2 classes later? Like we have the bending stress and the shear stress, bending moment and shear force diagram. If you want to concentrate for the examination, you can prepare for the examinations so that after the examination, you can continue. The second day is your first paper. Let me know, okay? You discuss among yourself in the group. If you want me to take, I'll take at least another 1 or 2 classes. Because after the theory exams, probably February, right? Regular classes will begin, and you will have the exam, GATE exam. I do not know whether it is postponed or not. At the same time, go through the GATE question papers also. Okay. Please inform me regarding when to take the class. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you. I will end the meeting now.